Hey everybody, here is our second tutorial. This tutorial is going to be about score and how to keep score. So if you had a game where you needed to find a certain number of pieces of a puzzle or certain things were worth a different value, then you could assign a score to the player and you could change that score whenever you contact or whenever you bump something. To do the score, we first of all have to go to our settings tab. Because earlier we added the inventory tab, well, now we want to configure the tabs again, and we need to add our player tab. So now when we play our game on our phone, we're going to have a map tab, a player tab, and an inventory tab. Once we have that tab configured, we go back to player. And in programming, this would be called a variable, but in TaleBlazer, they call it a trait. So we're going to add a trait, and we're going to call it score, and we're going to start it with a value of 0. And this is common for all rules, so anything can change it. And I'm going to add this trait. So now you can see here that we have a trait, a value of, so score is the name, value of 0, and it is visible. The way we want our score to work, when we bump into our agents, we want to assign them different point values. So let's go into this one. And this is the blue disk. And we go down to the pink pieces here. And we want to change. So whenever I bump into it, I want to change. This trait of score is attached to the player. So I want to change the score by 10. Let's say the blue disk, when you find it, is worth 10 points. I'm going to copy this block, and I'm going to move it back into here. I like to move them all around to make sure they're still attached. I'm going to go to the pink disk, and I'm going to paste that block. I'm going to attach it into here. Let's say the pink one was harder to find and it's worth 50 points. And perhaps I want to go to my map, find out where the pink disk is. That's the blue one, that's the red one, that's the orange one. And maybe you just have to go a little bit farther away to get the pink disk. Back to my agents, go to the orange disk. Let's paste that block. So when we pick it up, we're going to say this one was pretty easy to find. We're going to get 20 points. And the red one, which is right closest to where our disc golf bag is, it's only worth 5 points. Now we have our score working. So you can change these values. You can make them positive values or negative values. So perhaps you had a hidden agent. So we've added an agent here, and we've called him Thief. And let's go to our map, figure out where he is. Tougher to see because we use a different symbol. Let's say that we're going to put him right here. And if I go to my agent tab and I click on him, he's perhaps not included in the start. But perhaps when we bump the thief, we want to change the score of player by -50. So that would make it so that we can't see him, and we wouldn't be able to, would actually lose points by bumping into him. So you could have these hidden kind of things all the way around, or different spots here that could change your score. Or perhaps you get stuck in the sand of the beach volleyball court or something like that. So what we've done here is we've added a player tab in our settings that will allow for us to have a score, so we can see what's on the player tab. We can see the traits. We've added a score trait, gave it a default value of 0, And we've added a thief agent, which is going to uh, reduce our score by 50, but we also have scores going up on all of our disks, so when we find them, we can change the score. Other things that we can do, so perhaps, I don't know, perhaps when we are in the player tab and we could check to see if the score, let me go to an agent instead, we could check to see if the score is a certain value. This is another if statement, so we're going to add an if statement. So if, and I need to get this green condition in here, if the score, and that's going to be a pink one, I believe. Yep, so I'm going to drag this one into here. If the score of player is, let's say it's greater than or equal to 60, we could give them a message. And we could say, congratulations on reaching the 60-point milestone. You could add this if statement to all of your agents, and you probably should. And again, like on our previous video, when we just went and we copied and the blocks, we could paste them in, and that can make sure that we have everything. So a bunch of things going on in this video. We added, in our settings, we added the player tab. We went to the player. We added a trait. You can have multiple traits. You could have health. You could have scores. You can kind of use it as a timer, and you can reduce it because in some of our code, you have this, it's kind of a timer every certain number of minutes or every certain number of seconds. You can have things happen. In our agents tab, we checked our score, we changed our score, we checked our score, we had a thief agent where we're actually reducing our score. So you could, if you have multiple thieves, you could have a message also that when your score gets to 0 or less, that you should just tell them to give up, or you could tell them that the game is over, and you could remove everything else from the world, and they just have to leave the game. Hoping you're finding this tutorial helpful. So a bunch of things are going on. So by now, you should be able to create a game. You should be able to create agents and players, create things in your world. You know how to do the bump, and the bump is just an action that's at the top. You know how to do scores. You should know how to do inventories, and you know how to change things and check things in if statements. If this is a game that you want to try and you want to see how you can get this and you want to get the actual code, the game code for this is Disc Golf Finder. And I will get the code and I will make that code available on Google Classroom. So hoping you guys are able to handle all this stuff, and I look forward to seeing your games when I get back. See ya.